85 years ago today, Ernest Hemingway's novel For Whom the Bell Tolls was first published, a story about a young American volunteer who joined the government of Spain as a guerrilla fighter during the Spanish Civil War, a conflict that was widely viewed as a dress rehearsal for the Second World War because the Italian Fascists and German Nazis were supporting an overthrow. Read more about this seminal work 1940 based on Hemingway's own experiences during that war, where he had been a journalist. It was regarded as one of Hemingway's best works. The book sold 500,000 copies and was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. As is so often the case with great novels and works of art besides, For Whom the Bell Tolls received consistent criticism for various reasons, among which were Hemingway's medievalist language, particularly in the dialogue sequences and in his translations from Spanish, which linguists commented was far too literal, such as translating rare from raro rather than strange, or syndicate from syndica rather than the much more appropriate trade union. However, by 2019, BBC had placed it on a 100 most inspiring novels list. More good news on this date. 80 years ago today, women in France were finally awarded the right to vote for first time decades later than most Western countries, including New Zealand, Australia, the US, UK, Finland, and Norway. 40 years ago today, the meter was standardized to its current form, providing grounds for all the subsequent increments, such as millimeters, centimeters, and kilometers for most of the countries of the world. Originally invented by the French, it was changed by the International Committee of Weights and Measures to represent the distance light traveled in a vacuum over a time span of 1 million for the second. This would place the photons in the same place with 0.1 nanometers of variation, and as the best scientists have done so far. The meter was originally defined in 1791 by the French National Assembly as 1/10,000th of the distance from the equator to the North Pole of the length of a great circle quadrant along the Earth's meridian through Paris. That is the distance from the equator to the North Pole along that quadrant. In 1889, at the First International Conference on Weights and Measures, a meter was set at the distance between two lines on a standard bar of an alloy of platinum with 10 iridium measured at the melting point of ice. 1994 years ago today, Warren G. Harding delivered the first speech by a sitting U.S. president that condemned the lynching of African Americans in the Deep South despite widespread political opposition among white voters. The Republican had been advocating for the civil rights of blacks throughout his presidential campaign in 1920 and made the speech in Alabama, where the illegal hangings at an average of 2 per week were committed primarily by white supremacists. In the Birmingham speech, President Harding voiced support for anti-lynching bills pending in Congress that would levy fines and prosecution against counties and officials where they occurred. 1910 on this day in 1800, Florence Nightingale, founder of the nursing profession, left for Turkey with 38 women she had trained to tend to British soldiers dying from unsanitary conditions in the Crimean War. Beyond her nursing skills, she was a noted statistician. She charted seasonal sources of patient mortality in the military field hospital she managed. 66 years ago today, the spectacular Guggenheim Museum, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, opened in New York City. A landmark of 20th century architecture, the cylindrical building, wider at the top than the bottom, was conceived as a temple of the spirit, with a unique ramp exhibiting art along its outer wall extending up in a long, continuous spiral drenched in skylight from above. Watch a video of its gorgeous interior, 1932, and also on this day in 1916, Dizzy Gillespie, the jazz trumpeter, composer, and singer, was born in Charlotte, South Carolina. A virtuoso improviser, he added layers of harmonic complexity previously unheard in jazz. 1932 on photo by Roland Godefroy. CC license known for his inflated cheeks, corn-rimmed spectacles, scat singing, and bent horn, Gillespie joined Charlie Parker in the forefront of bebop and modern jazz. Born to poor band leader who died when he was 9, the enthusiastic practitioner of the Baha'i faith became one of the most accomplished trumpeters of all time, teaching and influencing many other musicians, including Miles Davis, a longtime resident of Inglewood, New Jersey. The band leader, who says his quintet had more love than anyone in the peace band, died of pancreatic cancer in 1938 at age 75, while he was still an active performer. Watch a delightful 1978 interview. Happy 66th birthday to Ken Watanabe, who has carried the flag of his native Japan in Hollywood for the last 20 years, more than any other Japanese actor, starring in tales from the land of the rising sun such as The Last Samurai, Letters from Iwo Jima, and Memoirs of a Geisha. Born in a small mountain village in the Niigata prefecture to a pair of teacher parents, he moved to Tokyo after graduating high school and began working in television. In his early professional career, he was often typecast as a samurai. 1922 Ken Watanabe CCV.0. Thor C. Brown's Watanabe has starred in various other blockbusters such as Inception, Batman Begins, and the sent big-budget remakes of Godzilla. In 2006, he cleaned house in all the Japanese Film Awards for Memories of Tomorrow, in which Watanabe depicts an Alzheimer's patient